Hi, it's Kate Wiseman, author of Gangster School, back to front still, and we've reached day 6 of the Gangster School read along, listening along, whatever you want to do really. I hope this is keeping you entertained while you're stuck indoors, especially when, like today, again, the weather's not very nice. Maybe it's a bit better where you are. I hope so. So just to recap, Millie and Charlie have met on their very first day at Blackguards, which is Gangster School. They have already survived an ambush by the year 8s, and they've had their first lesson, which was thievery, and the teacher isn't very nice, and he set them a challenge that they're not really very happy with at all. So on we go. This is chapter 6. The fabrication teacher, a sweaty man with blue eyes, a wide forehead and clusters of dark curls, was fussily laying equipment on each desk. Just in time. His voice was a high-pitched whine. It wasn't much of a high-pitched whine, was it? I'm glad you managed to find me. That's rubbish. I still can't believe they moved me down here. I'm Edgar Borgia. Find a seat. And don't touch the equipment yet. Millie and Charlie found empty desks and looked around, perplexed. The classroom was neat and bright and odd. The walls were lined with thick plastic padding that had been fashioned into little mounds. It looked as if someone had stapled a whole load of blue egg boxes onto the walls. It's soundproofing, Miss Martinet insisted. The other teachers were complaining. It's jealousy, of course, Borgia continued. He closed the door, cutting off all sound of the outside world. Lying on every desk was a metal headband attached to a long piece of plastic-coated wire. The wire plugged into a piece of machinery the size of a cornflake packet, with a pair of alarm bells attached to the top. There was one machine for each Blackguardian. Set into these devices was a semicircular display board marked True and Lie. A thin red needle was fastened between the words. Protruding from each contraption were 2 thinner wires ending in soft suction cups. The year 7s peered at them and then at each other. Beneath a jumper that looked like it had been knitted by his granny, Borgia's chest swelled with pride. They're truth detectors, he said. I invented them. They detect when you're not lying. They're highly sensitive. In a while, we're all going to link up to them, me included, so you can see a professional fabricator at work. From then on, everything you say must be an artificial truth. We're going to fire questions at each other and try to catch each other out. You'll find it quite hard to begin with, but you'll get the knack in the end. Everyone ready? Borgia went round each desk, explaining how to adjust the headbands and how the plastic suckers attached to the wrists over the pulse. Okay, I'll start. You join in when you're ready. No hesitating. If you hesitate, everyone will know you're lying. Stay sharp. Get those brain cells buzzing. Here goes. He looked quickly into Agatha Quint's eyes. You, what do you want to be when you grow up? Agatha hesitated for a second. The needle on her truth detector began swinging to the left towards the word true. A brain surgeon, she sputtered, before the needle hit the word. It swung sharply back and came to rest on the word lie. Good, but you need to be faster. And you were tempted to tell the truth for a second, weren't you? You've got to stamp that out. Truth is your enemy. He swung around to William Proctor. What's your favourite meal? Beans on toast, William replied without blinking. Good. You, what do your parents or guardians do for a living? Borgia was looking straight at Charlie, who'd picked up the truth detector from his desk and was inspecting it. Millie saw surprise on Charlie's face. He opened his mouth. The needle on the machine on his desk was already swinging towards True. They're kidnappers, he said, as if he couldn't help himself, and then added, Oh, squirrels! The needle hit True and stayed there, juddering slightly. The alarm on his detector began to shrill. At the same time, blue and green lights fastened into the corners of the room flashed on and off, on and off. Loser, someone muttered behind him. Millie winced. Her new friend obviously had trouble with some of the basic precepts of criminality. Her heart gave a sympathetic twist. She knew how that felt. Time to rescue him. She gave him a look full of admiration. "Charlie, you're a genius," she breathed. "You've beaten the truth detector." "Eh?" Charlie was looking confused. "Well, they're not kidnappers anymore, are they?" But the truth detector didn't pick that up. Millie looked around at the other Year 7s. "Charlie's worked out a way of beating it. Tell it something that used to be true, but isn't anymore." My friend pulling faces at me through the window. The Year 7s gave a short round of applause. Edgar Borgia looked a little put out, but he joined in after a few seconds' hesitation. "Thanks," Charlie muttered to Millie. "I was going to say that they ran a hotel. That would have been almost true. It's just that the guests were a bit reluctant." Millie gave him a little wink. "No problem," she said. "So, have you got a pet?" "Eh? Oh, yes," Charlie said. "An iguana called Mavis." The truth detector swung towards Lie twice in succession. "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Charlie threw back at her, looking happier by the second. "A ballerina." Millie's green eyes danced as Charlie snorted with laughter. "How about you?" "I want to breed stunt bats for vampire movies," Charlie fabricated happily. They stopped for a moment to listen to William Proctor, ensuring his interrogators that his favourite colour was vomit yellow, that his mother was a florist, and that he'd never, ever told a lie in his entire life. Eventually, everyone had enough of fabricating, so they began telling truth for the fun of setting off the alarms. Soon the windows were shaking with a dozen simultaneous trills. The soundproofing muffled the racket quite effectively, but to anyone standing outside and seeing the constantly flashing lights, it would have seen that a silent disco was in progress. When Borgia realised what was happening, he huffed and switched off the power supply. "I don't think you're taking this seriously," he moaned. "We'll move on to the next part of the lesson. When I turn the power back on, I'll connect myself to the truth detector. It's your job to try and catch me out in a non-fabrication. It won't be easy. You ready?" This was too good an opportunity to miss. The questions flew thick and fast, and so did Borgia's answers. I've read that bit. "Yes, I love animals. My favourite, dormice. No, I never eat meat. I'm a fruitarian. Where did I go to school? I was homeschooled after I was 8. Why? Because I developed a phobia for teachers after one tried to make me make a nightie in a needlework class." He was perfectly at ease, lounging back behind his desk and studying his nails. "He's pretty good," Charlie said in an undertone. "Think we can fluster him?" "Let's give it a go," Millie said with a sparkle in her eyes. She thought for a second and then threw a question at Borgia. "Why is lying important?" Borgia stretched and folded his arms behind his head. "It's not important, obviously." The red needle on his truth detector swung towards Lie. "If it's not important, why teach it?" Charlie joined in. Because actually it's the needle was swinging towards true. "Because I enjoy teaching unimportant things," Borgia managed, sitting up. The needle swung back to Lie, but it stayed there only a second before returning to its central position. It was a pretty lame answer. Agatha Quint gave Millie and Charlie a look of grudging fabrication. Of admiration. "So fabrication's a waste of time?" she asked. "Yes!" The needle leapt to Lie. Millie scented victory and quickly took over the questioning again. "So you wouldn't mind if we told Miss Martinet that you think fabrication's a waste of everyone's time?" "Yes, oh dear, it was too late." The red needle flashed to true and stayed there. The alarms blared all around the room. Peacock-coloured lights strobed. Borgia tottered to his feet and switched off the power supply again. "The lesson's finishing early today. I need to lie down," he faltered, wiping his hanky. His forehead, not doing very well today, with a limp-looking hanky. Most of the Year 7s cheered and dashed through the door before he could change his mind. Agatha was one of the last, and she gave Millie a look of resentment as she passed, leaning close to a friend and whispering something into his ear. Millie gave her a wide smile and turned to close the door on the traumatised teacher. End of chapter 6. So, what can you think about today to do some work? You could think about designing some kind of machine for a school of your choice. What kind of strange contraption could you design? Maybe you could draw it and label it and use it in a story. It's just worth a thought, isn't it? Anyway, stay safe, keep reading, keep doing all kinds of exciting things at home, and I'll be back tomorrow with chapter 7. Bye.